All right, here's how the whole mess started. It was one of those quiet Saturday mornings, the kind that actually feels deserved after grinding through a long week of nothing but chores. I had my coffee sitting in a beat-up thermos in the passenger seat, old country songs humming low through the speakers. I was already halfway down Route 41, heading into town to grab supplies, generator parts, .308 rounds for hunting season, maybe some overpriced hardware I convinced myself I needed. Out where I live, about 12 miles past where common sense and basic services stop existing, Saturdays matter. You run your errands early, give a nod to the same 3 pickup trucks you've been seeing for years, and make it back before the wind decides to turn dust into something personal. I'd left the house in good hands. A few old friends were staying the weekend, guys I'd served with overseas. We don't really talk about that time much, but after enough sand and gunfire, a quiet porch and a cold beer started to feel like luxury. Dylan was upstairs messing around with a GoPro. Connor sat at the kitchen table, carefully cleaning his rifle like it was some kind of meditation. And Leo, steady as ever, just sipped his coffee like the world had already shown him everything it could. Then my phone went off. Not a text, not a missed call, a perimeter alert. Front gate breached. Lock disengaged. My chest tightened instantly. I pulled up the camera feed. At first, just black static. Then the side camera flickered on, grainy but clear enough. 3 people walking through my broken padlock. Like it was nothing. Like it had never been there at all. 2 men in khakis. 1 woman in a crisp polo shirt with a stitched logo. Silver Ridge Community Alliance. I recognized it immediately. And her, Vanessa Pike, HOA president. The kind of person who smiles with her mouth, but not her eyes. I didn't hesitate. I spun the truck around hard enough to kick gravel like buckshot behind me. My jaw locked tight. Because here's the thing, I'm not part of Silver Ridge. Never was. My land predates that entire development by over a decade. It's documented, recorded, surveyed twice. They once tried to contact me about my mailbox color, not meeting their standards. I mailed back a copy of my deed and politely told them to mind their own fences. Apparently, that stuck with Vanessa. I radioed the house on our private channel. Dylan picked up first. "We got visitors," he said, way too relaxed. "How many?" I asked. 3. Polo squad. Queen be included. You armed. There was a brief pause before Connor's voice came through in the background, calm, controlled, like always. I told them not to engage unless absolutely necessary. Call the sheriff. Keep the cameras running. By the time I was about a mile from the driveway, things had escalated. Vanessa had already marched up to the porch, tablet in hand, speaking loudly, making sure every camera picked up her voice. "We are conducting an emergency compliance inspection under Section 8.3 of the Silver Ridge Charter. Emergency. On land she had zero authority over." Dylan locked the front door. Connor moved toward the back. Leo stayed right where he was, sipping his coffee like he was watching a slow-motion disaster unfold. Vanessa didn't knock. She grabbed the back door handle and rattled it. Connor cracked the door open just an inch. She froze. Connor stands about 6 feet 4 inches, solid build, holding his rifle loosely at his side. Not threatening, just present. "Ma'am," he said evenly, "this is private property. You could have locked to get in here. Step back." One of the guys with her, red-faced, veins practically popping, snapped, "You can't threaten us with a weapon. That's assault." From upstairs, Dylan called down, "Sheriff's on the way." "I told you." Vanessa shouted, "Trespassing, forced entry." But her composure had started slipping. "We have authority," she insisted. "We've received complaints about hazardous materials and unauthorized fortifications." Leo finally stepped forward, calm as still water before a storm. "You don't have authority here," he said. "Not legally, not morally, not geographically." That's when the taller guy made his mistake. He shoved Connor. Connor reacted instantly, not flashy, not aggressive, just efficient. A quick twist, a shift in balance, and suddenly Mr. Khakis was face down on the wooden deck, looking surprised at how gravity works. Zip ties clicked into place. Vanessa let out a shriek, like someone had unplugged her power source. You can't detain him. This is illegal. Leo calmly held up his contractor ID. Citizen's arrest. You entered unlawfully. It's all on camera. 10 minutes later, sheriff's cruisers rolled up the driveway, red and blue lights washing over the oak trees. I pulled in right behind them. Sheriff Donnelly stepped out. Late 50s, tired eyes. The kind of man who's seen enough small-town nonsense to recognize it immediately. "What's going on here?" he asked. "A constitutional misunderstanding," I replied. Vanessa tried to control the narrative, claimed they felt threatened, insisted they had community authority, said we were aggressive. Donnelly listened. Then he asked one question. "Did you have a warrant?" Silence. "Did you have permission?" More silence. Dispatch confirmed it. My property wasn't part of the HOA. Never had been. Vanessa's shoulders dipped, just slightly. That's when I knew it wasn't over. People like her don't back down. They escalate. And sure enough, 2 days later, I got a certified letter summoning me to appear before their compliance committee for supposed violations. Surveillance equipment, perimeter defenses, hazardous materials. They'd even taken photos from outside my fence and labeled random things as unknown risks. That's when it clicked. This wasn't about rules. It was personal. Vanessa wasn't enforcing anything. She was claiming territory. She convinced herself my land should fall under her authority, and she was ready to push until I gave in. But I don't give in. Instead of arguing, I called my attorney, then the county recorder. Then I started digging. Because if she thought cutting my lock was bold, she hadn't seen anything yet. Here's where most people get it wrong. An HOA's power starts and ends with its governing documents, the CC and RS. If your property isn't listed, if your deed doesn't reference them, if your land was never annexed, then their rules don't mean anything. They don't have police authority. They can't inspect. And they definitely can't cut locks and walk in like they own the place. What Vanessa did wasn't enforcement. It was trespassing. The moment that lock broke, it stopped being civil. It became criminal. But there's also a psychological side to this. HOAs don't usually jump straight into overreach. It builds. Small wins. Minor fines. Someone complies. Someone repaints. Someone pays. That success reinforces authority. Push a little more. Silence gets mistaken for agreement. Eventually, the line between real authority and imagined control disappears. Vanessa wasn't maintaining standards. She was expanding influence. And once someone ties their identity to that kind of power, losing it feels like a threat. That's when bad decisions happen. Once I understood that, I stopped reacting emotionally. I started documenting everything. Monday morning, I filed a formal complaint with the county. Deed copies, zoning confirmation, survey maps, everything. Clean, airtight, undeniable. Then I filed for investigation. Unlawful entry, harassment. But something kept bothering me. Vanessa had come prepared. Tablet ready. Speech rehearsed. Photos printed. This wasn't random. I started making calls. An older man nearby, let's call him Walter, told me he'd gotten similar letters before. Threats, violations, fines. He ignored them. Next thing he knew, someone nailed a citation notice to a tree on his property. No signature. No contact. Just a fine and a deadline. Another homeowner, Claire, said Vanessa showed up with board members and hinted that refusing HOA membership might complicate future access to utilities. Translation, intimidation. Then I found something worse. One of the complaints used to justify the emergency inspection had been filed under the name of a neighbor who'd been dead for almost 3 years. I confirmed it. Funeral records. Obituary. Everything matched. That's when I went all in. I gathered statements, documents, proof of death, copies of the fake complaint, screenshots of altered boundary maps, everything. Then I handed it over to the district attorney. Days later, I got a call from investigator Marissa Calder. No small talk. If this checks out, she said, this goes beyond HOA overreach. This is fraud, possibly conspiracy. It checks out, I told her, and I've got video. That's when things escalated. A zoning hearing was scheduled the following week. Vanessa showed up dressed like she was running for office. flanked by two attorneys who looked like they hadn't seen sunlight in years. She didn't even look at me. Didn't matter. When I took the stand, I kept it simple. Timeline. Evidence. No drama. I played the audio of her instructing her team to document everything inside my property. Then I showed the footage of the lock being cut. Then I presented the forged complaint. The room changed. Her lawyer objected. Hearsay, clerical error, misinterpretation. Then something unexpected happened. A former board member, Nathan, stood up. He said he couldn't stay quiet anymore. He testified that Vanessa had been pushing aggressive expansion tactics, emails, recordings, even a statement where she said, if we apply enough compliance pressure, they'll sign just to make it stop. You could have heard a pin drop. That phrase, compliance pressure, ended up everywhere. A week later, the county launched a full investigation. Fraud, forgery, misuse of funds, harassment. Then they uncovered something else. An attempt to destroy evidence. I got a tip. A mobile shredding truck had been hired to clear out HOA records. No notice, no transparency, just documents disappearing. I called Investigator Calder. She moved fast. Within 20 minutes, deputies shut the operation down mid-cycle. Boxes half-shredded. Financial records exposed. That's when it all fell apart. Money trails led to a consulting firm owned by Vanessa's brother-in-law. Search warrants followed. Authorities raided what she called her office, a converted pool house. Inside, servers, surveillance files, lists of non-compliant properties, notes like apply pressure. She hadn't just been enforcing rules. She built a system. 3 days later, I got a message. They got her. Vanessa Pike was arrested. Trespassing, fraud, forgery, obstruction. Others followed. The courtroom was surreal. No speeches. No defense. Just silence and handcuffs. Civil cases followed. Insurance refused to cover anyone involved. The HOA collapsed almost overnight. Without that illusion of authority, everything fell apart. Months later, the verdicts came in. Vanessa got prison time. Others took deals. Millions in restitution were ordered. And me? I didn't feel victorious. I felt relief. Relief that facts mattered. Relief that documentation beat intimidation. Relief that reality held. After everything, I installed a new lock. Titanium, custom engraved. Private property. Respect the boundary. No one's touched it since. Because in the end, this wasn't just about revenge. It was about power and what happens when it goes unchecked. The lesson isn't to fight harder. It's to know your ground, know your documents, know your rights, know what applies and what doesn't. Authority isn't uniforms or titles. It's jurisdiction. And everything comes down to proof. Because without evidence, it's just your word against theirs. And that rarely ends well. Power grows when it isn't challenged. Not always out of malice, but because people start believing their own authority. Vanessa didn't start as a criminal. She escalated, step by step, until she crossed a line she couldn't come back from. That's how it happens. HOAs themselves aren't the enemy. Plenty work just fine. But without oversight, without accountability, they fall apart. So whether you're in one or not, the rule stays the same. Clarity beats assumption. Documentation beats noise. And knowing your boundaries, legally and physically, makes all the difference. Drop your thoughts below. And if you like stories where small conflicts turn into something bigger, stick around. Because sometimes the smallest lines are the ones that matter most.